In March 2025, I realized one of my oldest dreams, visiting the Arctic. For this, I traveled to an archipelago called Svalbard, part of Norway, just 800 kilometers away from the North Pole. Nicknamed the land of the polar bears, with around 2,500 full-time residents, it is home to the northernmost permanent settlement on Earth. Join me as I journey across the Arctic, discovering one of the last wild and untouched places in the world. Good morning. Today, for the first time, we are leaving the settlement of Longyearbyen. So I'm really looking forward to it because that will be the first time we kind of go into the real wilderness of the Arctic. So we're taking a boat to near Pyramiden, which is an ancient, an old abandoned coal mining settlement that belonged to the Soviet Union. But on the way, we should see glaciers and hopefully also the ice sea. So like the Bankies. That would be, fingers crossed, a sight that was worth coming here for. So I'm really looking forward to it. And without further ado, we're just going to get the bus and go to the boat. Okay, we boarded the ship, so now we're just waiting to get everyone in to get started. But we have a beautiful weather today, so this is the perfect conditions to see the glaciers and hopefully maybe some polar bears. We don't know. We can only hope for. It took a little while for the boat to leave the fjord of Longyearbyen behind, but soon the Arctic began to reveal itself. As we glided further out, the landscape opened up. Vast white mountains rolling in every direction, untouched and treeless. Just snow, rock, and silence. There was something otherworldly about it. No buildings, no roads, no people. Just pure, raw wilderness. The sea began to change under us. First, it was open water. Then, almost without noticing, the water thickened. And pancake ice started forming. Those round floating discs, bumping against the hull. Before long, we were surrounded by a frozen tapestry, layers of sea ice stretching to the horizon. This was the Arctic I had dreamt of since I was a kid. And now, here it was, real, cold, and beautiful. I wasn't disappointed.
As the ship was continuing its journey on the ice, everyone on the boat had one thing in mind: polar bears. We knew the odds. Locals told us only about 5% of visitors ever see one, despite there being around 3,000 bears in the Svalbard and Barents Sea region. For most tourists, the only one they will see is the stuffed one at the Svalbard airport. Let me tell you something about polar bears. They are nothing short of extraordinary. They are the largest bears on Earth. Males can weigh anywhere from 300 to 800 kilos. But it is the females who truly amaze me. In order to have cubs, a female polar bear must go through an intense transformation. During the summer and fall, she hunts seals, building massive fat reserves. She needs it to give birth and raise her cubs. She'll fast for months inside a snowy den, surviving entirely off her body fat. And get this, she nearly doubles her body weight before going in. That's the price of motherhood in the Arctic. Hundreds of kilos of preparation, just to give new life a chance. However, right now, with climate change, this is becoming harder and harder for the polar bears. The Arctic is warming faster than any other place on the planet. Sea ice is melting earlier in spring and forming later in the fall, which means that bears have less time to hunt and more time waiting hungry. Longer ice-free periods lead to lower fat reserves, fewer successful pregnancies, and ultimately a declining population. And despite the huge number of reindeers roaming the Svalbard archipelago, polar bear barely bother chasing them, because it's just too much energy spent for too little reward. Seals from the sea ice are just a far more efficient prey, but that's when there is ice. Despite being such a great creature, here in Svalbard, polar bears are also the main hazard. The moment you arrive, you're reminded of that. Warning signs are everywhere. And outside the town limits of Longyearbyen, carrying a rifle isn't optional. It is required by law. There's a reason why they say that Svalbard is the land of the polar bears. This is their word. We're just passing through it. These creatures are elusive, perfectly camouflaged in this frozen world. Still, we hoped. And then it happened. As I stood taking in the endless white, a buzz rippled through the boat. People rushed to the railing, pointing, gasping, binoculars in hand. There, on the ice, a mother bear and her cub. I took the time to enjoy such a rare and special sight here in Svalbard. It was honestly one of the most magical wildlife moments I've experienced. Seeing the female polar bear with her cubs was one of these things that money cannot buy. Only if they decided it will happen. I just wish I had brought stronger lenses. From such a distance, the photos I took just were not doing them justice.
Wow, this is magical. This is so amazing. We just reached the part where the ice has frozen and the sun is like a bit yellow. It's beautiful. This is exactly what I came here looking for. And we saw fucking polar bears, which is supposed to be a very rare thing. But we saw too a mother with her baby fishing. Of course, my camera wasn't good enough to get very good pictures, but we saw them.
As we sat down for lunch on the boat, the Arctic kept working its magic. Outside, the hull continued to break through the sea ice with that soft, crunching rhythm. It felt surreal. Eating a warm meal while slowly drifting deeper into the frozen silence. And our luck, it held strong. Not long after, we spotted movement on the ice. Walruses, lunging like giant, whiskered boulders, massive, social, and completely unbothered by our presence. They looked right at home on their frozen stage. Then came the seals, the lifeblood of the Arctic food chain. Slipping in and out of the water, they were the very animals polar bears rely on, and seeing them here, thriving in their habitat, added another layer to the story unfolding around us. The Arctic wasn't just showing us its landscape, it was slowly introducing us to its wild, elusive cast of characters. Eventually, we got near Pyramiden, the once thriving Soviet mining settlement, now completely abandoned and frozen in time. We're so close, but just not close enough. At this time of the year, the sea is simply too thick to reach the shore by boat. The only way to get there is by land, on snowmobile. We didn't get to see the ghost town up close, which, I'll admit, was a bit frustrating. It is the kind of place that sparks the imagination. Deserted buildings, propaganda murals, furniture still standing at the exact place they were left decades ago, all slowly being reclaimed by the Arctic. But thanks to our guide, we still got a vivid sense of Pyramiden's history. At its peak, it was home to over 1,000 people, a slice of Soviet life planted deep in the Arctic, complete with a swimming pool, a school, greenhouses, and the world's northernmost bust of Lenin. Today, it stands as a frozen relic, one of the most remote and surreal reminders of the Cold War era. Even without stepping foot there, just knowing it exists added another layer of mystery to this already otherworldly journey. Eventually, it was time to turn back. We began the long journey back to Longyearbyen, retracing our path through the ice. After witnessing so many Arctic wonders, the endless white landscapes, the walruses, the seals, and of course the polar bears, there was a quiet shift in the air. It felt like we were leaving behind something sacred, a place untouched, raw, and completely disconnected from the rhythm of everyday life. Returning to the normalcy of the world felt strange, almost like waking up from a dream.
It is the end of the day, so the cruise trip was amazing. At first I was not too sure because it was mostly the normal shores and mountains with some snow on it, which was nice, but at the same time nothing crazily different from things you could have seen elsewhere. But the moment we started to hit the frozen sea and then we saw all these animals, it became a fantastic adventure. So I can only recommend you do it. Obviously, it's really random when it comes to the animals, what you'll be able to see or not. But overall, I think this is really a nice way to see this part of Svalbard that you would not be able to visit in any other way. So I would 100% recommend. And on this, I'm gonna wish you a great evening. As it is the end of this video, and if you like this one, be sure to be tuned in for the next one, which will be about hiking in Svalbard. So on this, have a great day and see you soon for the next video.